Have you ever wondered what true strength looks like in the face of betrayal? It's not always about shouting matches or dramatic showdowns. Sometimes, the most powerful response is a quiet, unshakable calm. Today, we're sharing a story that redefines what it means to handle heartbreak with dignity. A story about a divorce so serene, it's almost unbelievable. Meet Jack and Sarah. On the surface, they were the perfect couple. High school sweethearts, married for 12 years, with 2 wonderful kids and a beautiful home in the suburbs. To everyone who knew them, they were the picture of happiness. But behind closed doors, a quiet distance had been growing for years. It wasn't one big fight, but a slow drift, like 2 ships sailing apart in the night. Jack was a dedicated husband and father. He worked hard as a civil engineer, providing a stable life for his family. He wasn't a man of grand romantic gestures, but his love was in the everyday things, fixing leaky faucets, helping with homework, and always being the steady rock his family could count on. Sarah, a freelance graphic designer, was more spontaneous and yearned for a spark she felt had fizzled out. She felt unseen, taken for granted, and the silence in their home began to feel deafening. The story of their unraveling began not with a bang, but with a text message. One evening, as Jack was putting the kids to bed, Sarah's phone, left on the kitchen counter, lit up with a message. It wasn't the content of the message that caught his eye, but the name, Mark Work. Jack knew all of Sarah's colleagues, and there was no Mark. A cold feeling washed over him. It was a small crack, but it was enough to let the doubt seep in. He didn't confront her. Instead, he observed. He noticed the late nights she claimed were for work deadlines, the new secretive smile she had when she was on her phone, the way she'd started dressing up just to run errands. The signs were subtle, but they were all there, painting a picture he didn't want to see. Each new discovery was like a small, sharp jab to his heart. But on the outside, he remained the same calm, dependable Jack. He decided he needed certainty. One Tuesday morning, Sarah said she had an early client meeting across town. A gut feeling, a painful intuition, led Jack to call in a personal day. He waited a while, then drove past her supposed meeting location. Her car wasn't there. His heart pounding, he drove to a boutique hotel on the other side of town, a place they'd once celebrated an anniversary. And there it was, her car, parked right out front. Jack didn't storm in. He didn't make a scene. He simply sat in his car, staring at the building, the reality of the situation washing over him in wave after wave of cold, quiet pain. He felt a profound sense of sorrow, not just anger. The woman he had built his entire life with was in there, with someone else. He drove home, the silence in his car heavier than ever before. That evening, when Sarah walked in, glowing and cheerful, Jack was sitting in the living room. The TV was off. He looked at her, and his gaze wasn't accusatory or filled with rage. It was just sad. "We need to talk," he said softly. He didn't start with accusations. He started with a question. "Are you happy, Sarah?" The question caught her off guard. She stammered, talking about stress and work. Jack listened patiently. When she was done, he said calmly, "I know about Mark." The color drained from her face. She opened her mouth to deny it, but the look in Jack's eyes told her it was pointless. There was no anger, no shouting, just a deep, profound disappointment. He told her he had seen her car. He laid out the facts simply and without emotion, as if he were presenting a report at work. Sarah broke down, a torrent of tearful confessions, excuses, and apologies pouring out of her. She talked about feeling lonely, about the thrill of the attention, about how it was a mistake. Jack just listened. He didn't interrupt. He let her say everything she needed to say. When the storm of her emotions subsided, he spoke. His voice was steady. "I'm not interested in the details, Sarah. I don't need to know who he is or what you did. What I need to know is that the trust is gone, and I don't see how we can get that back. He wasn't yelling or calling her names. He was simply stating a fact. The foundation of their marriage had crumbled. "I think," he continued, taking a deep breath, "that we need to get a divorce." Sarah pleaded, she begged, she promised it would never happen again. But Jack's resolve was firm, not out of anger, but out of a clear, painful understanding that their path together had come to an end. He explained, "This isn't about punishing you, Sarah. This is about accepting reality. We can't build a future on a broken foundation. For our own sake, and for the kids, we need to do this in the most peaceful and respectful way possible." And that's exactly what they did. The days that followed were a masterclass in dignity. Jack moved into the guest room to give them space. They told the children together, framing it not as a failure, but as a change. "Mommy and Daddy love you both very much," Jack explained, "but we've decided it's best for us to live in separate houses so we can be the best parents possible for you." They didn't use lawyers as weapons. They sat at their own kitchen table with a mediator and a pile of financial documents. Jack's approach was astonishingly fair. "You're their mother," he said. "You should stay in the house with the kids. I'll find an apartment nearby." He didn't fight for every last penny. He focused on what was fair, on ensuring Sarah and the children would be secure. His priority wasn't revenge, it was his children's stability. When it came to splitting assets, he was generous. He wanted to ensure the transition was as smooth as possible for everyone. He even helped Sarah with the paperwork, explaining complex financial terms. Friends and family were baffled. They expected drama, anger, and resentment. Instead, they saw two adults handling the end of their marriage with a level of maturity that was almost unheard of. There were moments, of course, when the pain resurfaced. Late at night, alone in his new apartment, the weight of the betrayal would hit Jack. But he never let that bitterness spill over into his interactions with Sarah. He chose a different path. He chose to focus on the future, on being a great co-parent, on healing himself, and on modeling grace for his children. He understood that holding on to anger would only poison his own well. The divorce was finalized in a matter of months, without a single court battle. They established a co-parenting schedule that put the kids first, attending parent-teacher conferences together and celebrating birthdays as a blended family unit. Jack's calm, measured response had diffused a potentially explosive situation. He had taken the ultimate betrayal and refused to let it turn him into a bitter, angry person. So what can we learn from Jack's story? We learn that true strength isn't about how loudly you can roar, but how calmly you can navigate the storm. It's about choosing dignity over drama and respect over revenge. Jack understood that his reaction would define not only his own future, but also the emotional well-being of his children. He turned a heartbreaking end into a dignified new beginning. He lost a wife, but he never lost himself. This story is a powerful reminder that we have a choice in how we respond to life's greatest challenges. We can let betrayal destroy us, or we can use it as a catalyst